Namaste my fellow strikers, Holy Materia here, back with another Shinobi Striker video. Today we're going to be doing a beginner's guide on how to play as a healer. So let's get right into it. Okay, so this guide is mostly for like beginners or people playing solo who don't really play with other players very often or at all, or like don't have a clan or anything like that. And more than just this being like my personal advice, it's more about what's expected of you from other players in the Shinobi Striker community. So this is more based on like what I've seen when I play with other people, a few of the clans I've been in, and like watching content creators like streamers and stuff, like what they expect when they're playing in a match with other people. So yeah, so this is like what your teammates expect out of you as a healer if you're the only healer on your team. So let's get into it. So first, let's start off with combat. So this is the most important game mode for healers, or the game mode where healers are the most vital. So if you go into a combat match without a healer, your team will be at an extreme disadvantage, even if your team has better players than the other team. And unfortunately, healers are the class that people pretty much least like to play, and they're also the class that have kind of gotten the least love when it comes to the DLC. But they're extremely important in every game mode really, but especially in combat. So this might sound obvious, but the thing people are expecting when you come in as the healer is for you to heal. So that might sound silly, but I've had so many matches where people come in as the only healer on the team and they're playing like a combat healer with not a single way to heal their teammates. So that's the biggest thing. But it's not just that you're expected to heal. You're expected to be able to. You should have like multiple healing moves, at least 2, but sometimes people might expect you to have 3 or even 4 ways to heal your team. Fortunately for combat, the best healer builds are all DLC free, so they're all from just the normal masters. The meta healing build is Palm Sage Jutsu, Cellular Extraction, the Healing Seal, and Sleep, Feather Illusion. So all these things you can just get from the regular masters without having to buy any of the DLC. So that's really good. But sometimes you can also run like some kind of healing ultimate, like Tsunade Slugs or something like that. But I would suggest at least having 3 ways to heal. So whether it's 2 Jutsu and an ultimate, or 1 Jutsu and the Sealing Tag and an ultimate. Really for the healers, the Healing Seal is the best thing to have on any game mode really. It's it's maybe the most OP ninja tool really, even more than some of those scientific ninja tools, because it's basically like having an extra ninjutsu for healing, and it's quicker than the ones that are comparable to it, and it's much easier to get off. With the Healing Seal, it's going to be much easier to stay alive, and that's probably the biggest thing for a healer, especially in combat mode, is like your #1 priority is staying alive. Sometimes you might even have to sacrifice a teammate so that you can stay alive. It might sound selfish, but it's really for the good of the team, because once the healer dies, it's so much easier to kill everybody else. So like when you're playing in a group, once the healer on the other team gets killed, they're like, all right, so now let's clean up. We got the healer out of the way. Now it's easy to take out the range type and the attack type, and then we'll finish off the defense if we can get them before the healer comes back. So something you don't want to do is, if you have a single teammate who goes off by themselves, you don't want to like chase them down to try to heal them if you see they're getting defeated, and then leave your other 2 teammates without a healer, because that person, if you don't end up saving them, and you probably won't be able to out heal the damage that they're taking, especially if they're getting jumped. So after they get defeated, then you're just over there by yourself for your opponents to jump you next. So then that's 2 deaths, and including the healer dying. So then most likely your other 2 teammates are going to end up dying too. So it's better to just let that one person die and make sure that the rest of you stay alive. Even though it might sound like it might feel counterintuitive as the healer, you kind of want to keep everybody up, keep everybody alive, but sometimes you have to sacrifice that like one player if they do something that they weren't really supposed to be doing. So the most important thing is keeping yourself alive. In the healing seal, even more than it being good for your teammates, it's really good for keeping yourself alive, because when if you're playing healer and you're playing against like good players, especially if they're in a group, in a squad, you're going to be getting jumped. So the healing seal will keep you alive much easier than just having a ninjutsu, because cellular extraction, it takes a long time to actually pop it. So like once you push the button, it can be interrupted by kunai or people attacking you, and it's really easy for them to stop you doing it if they're in the middle of jumping you. And palm sage jutsu, it doesn't heal you very much if you get knocked out of it right away. So the healing seal, you can use it like as soon as you roll. If you're getting jumped and you get knocked down and then you're invulnerable for a little bit, as soon as you roll, you just keep pushing the circle button, or like move the joysticks while you're getting up, and then when you roll, you can use your healing seal as soon as you get up, and if they won't be able to hit you before you can get it off. So to go along with that, movement is incredibly important if you're playing healer, especially once you get into playing against like higher tier players, because like I said, you're gonna when you heal, you're gonna be spending most of the match just running from people trying to jump you. So that's the main reason I made that my last video about advanced movement techniques, because I was planning on making this video and I was thinking, well, the most important thing for healers is to be able to move, because everybody's going to be trying to kill you, and you need to stay alive as the healer, or else you're no good for your team. And and then eventually somebody else on your team will have to switch to healer to help you out, or to just be like the main healer. So movement is incredibly important for the healing class, especially in combat, because people are going to be focusing you. But once they see that you know how to move, they won't focus on you as much, because it'll end up being they'll realize that it's a waste of time to try to chase you all over the place, because it's really hard to kill a healer who knows how to move well. So make sure to check out that advanced movement video, or check it out in a movement video from somebody else. There's lots of videos out there about how to chakra jump cancel to get around faster. So definitely check that out if you're wanting to play healer, because that's the most important thing, is to be able to get away from people who are trying to get at you. So you want to be constantly moving around laterally so that people can't attack you, and you also want to stay above the match. Like try to stay on top of buildings, or not even on top, but like at least like on the walls of buildings if you're on like the rain village, or like even on the top of the buildings if you're on somewhere like the hidden leaf village, and heal your teammates from afar, out of sight, like out of sight, out of mind. And especially while you're using palm sage jutsu. So with that, you want to be constantly jumping around and like running on the walls, out of the fray, or like running around trees or pillars or something like that, so that people don't really notice you, or they can't get to you easily, because that move is actually pretty crucial, because it comes back so fast. And so you can almost constantly be popping that. Like if you have three healing jutsu, you'll always have some way to heal, almost, because as long as you don't get knocked out of palm sage, by the time that runs out, your other stuff will be ready. Like especially your healing seal will be ready by the time your palm sage is done. So let's talk a little bit about ultimates. So I said that the meta ultimate for healers in combat is Feather Illusion, but that's when you have a team with you and you guys can coordinate attacks. Feather Illusion isn't always great when you're playing solo. You can still use it if you're on a map with pitfalls, because if your teammates aren't getting killed, you can use it to just pitfall people, and also once the opposing team knows that you have sleep, they'll be more wary about attacking you, because they'll be worried like, oh, does he have his sleep back yet? He might pop it and pitfall me. But it's not so great on like the Rain Village or the Hidden Leaf Village map. So you can kind of get creative and pick whatever ultimate you want, but I usually run Maze, Poison Fog, and then I just wait until a few of the other team have like about half health, and then I pop it on them and then attack him, so to keep him in the fog, and I'll usually get a couple of kills off of that. But yeah, you can kind of run whatever you want. But as far as what's expected, people kind of expect you to have sleep. But if you have low tier teammates on your team, they probably won't be able to take advantage of just a sleep where people are just on the floor sleeping, because they just won't be able to take advantage of it the way like a higher tier players would be able to, even without the communication. Now let's talk about base and flag. So these will have sort of similar builds and also similar expectations, but let's start with base. So for base, unfortunately, both of these, base and flag, the builds are mostly DLC builds. Like the best builds are mostly DLC, but you can still find ways to use the non-DLC stuff also. So with base, the new meta right now is water pillar. It's so crucial on base. It's one of the best moves for base battles. What's expected of you on base kind of depends on what you have available. So if you have water pillar, that's the thing that you should run. That's the main thing you should run. I usually pair water pillar with Ino's heal, the mind transmission, palm sage jutsu, so that I can heal people from everywhere on the map, because you can be on A base and heal your teammates who are on C base. So it's really crucial to have that, especially when you pair it with water pillar, so you can be safe while you're healing people. And then I also use the healing seal. Because of water pillar, the expectations of healers have changed on base battles, because they're one of the most vital classes now. Along with defense types, healers are really powerful on base right now. I would say the best ultimate for healers is Mei's Poison Fog, because like Mei's whole kit is basically just made for base battles. The Poison Fog will clear a base, and you can usually cap it just by having that, because people can't stay in that poison. Especially if you have a single teammate with you and they're attacking while you're on the base, they won't be able to stop you from getting the base. So if you don't have the DLC, I would say use something like Air Palm, because that can seal people's jutsu, like defense types who might have Sand Shield or other healers that are running Water Pillar, and it also pushes people back, so you can knock people off of the base with it. And then like a healing jutsu like Cellular Extraction or something like that. Or you can run like Chakra Scalpel and just focus on sealing people's jutsus, or even like Green Rain Ground Hold. That's like base is like the one game mode where that move is sort of viable, but I still wouldn't really suggest running it. Or even the Slug Summon. Base is probably the only one that you could even consider really using that, but I still wouldn't suggest that either. As far as ultimates go, you could run something like Shikamaru's. All that's okay for base because people are grouped up a lot, but I might suggest just going ahead and playing as Mei. If you don't want to buy the DLC, I would maybe just play as Mei, because her whole, like I said, her whole kit is made for base battle. So you'll have the Water Pillar, and then her ultimate, the Poison Fog, which are both really great for base, and even her lava style jutsu is good for base, because it breaks Sand Shield, it breaks Water Pillar, and it puts the lava on the floor, so it will mess up everybody that's like just trying to hang out around the base. So yeah, that's one of the few times I would suggest like using a cast character. If you haven't bought the DLC, is using Mei on base battles, because she was like made for base. So for flag, I'd also suggest running Water Pillar. It's just one of the best games, or it's just one of the best moves in the game. So you can use Water Pillar defensively and offensively. So you can run with your attack type or range type to the other team's flag, and then put the Water Pillar on their flag, so that your teammates can get the flag. Or you can even run the flag yourself. Like if you run Water Pillar with Nervous System Rupture, you could be the flag runner on your team. You can also use Water Pillar to defend your flag, and you can even use Nervous System Rupture to defend your flag also, because you can disorient people who are trying to get your flag. But just like in base, you're still expected to be able to heal your teammates. So I would say with flag battle, at least run the healing seal, so that you can heal people to some extent. Like I wouldn't really suggest running a healing ninjutsu, but at least have that healing seal, so that you can defend your base, or so that you can defend your flag. There are a few ultimate jutsus that are really good for flag battles for healers. So the Poison Fog is one. You can use that to clear out the flag, or to clear out the people around the flag, or you can use it to defend your flag. And then also a one that people run a lot on flag battle is the Bugs, because it disorients people. They can't see what's happening, and your teammates can kill people very easily. So you can you can pop it either on either flag, on your flag or the opponent's flag. Usually people use it on the opponent's flag so that once they get the flag, their opponents don't really know what to do because they can't really follow where you are. So you pretty much just have free reign to run your flag. So as far as non-DLC builds go, you could run Chakra Scalpel to replace Nervous System Rupture, and you could maybe run something like Air Palm if you want to defend the flag. And for the alt, you could use Bugs or Shikamaru's alt. But yeah, so on base and flag, healers aren't as essential as they are on combat, but it still gives your team a decisive advantage to have a healer on your team. These are kind of the builds and playstyles that are expected of you if you run healer on these other game modes. And then on barrier battle, if you play barrier battle, you could also run water pillar to put on the stakes or the pillars, and just be able to heal your teammates. Like the other jutsu should be some kind of healing jutsu and the healing seal, especially if you're on attack, because the other team is just going to be trying to kill your teammates the whole time. So it is pretty vital to have a healer on your team if you're on the attacking side, because yeah, so that your team can stay alive while you're trying to pull up the stakes. But that's not really one of the competitive game modes, so there's not really many expectations per se for that game mode, so you can kind of do whatever you feel like doing. Okay, so sorry, that took a lot longer than I was anticipating it to. So if you stuck around this long, thanks for watching. So yeah, it took a long time, and I still don't feel like I explained it well. So if you have any questions, just leave a comment below, and I'll try to answer anything I can. And if you're a more experienced player and you have any more advice to add, go ahead and leave that in the comments too, so that people can find that advice. So I'll be doing this as a 4-part series. Next we'll do defense, since Neji's coming out, and that's also a more complicated role. It's really more objective based, and at range and attack are kind of self-explanatory. So we'll do defense next. So subscribe for more content, and don't forget to Shinobi strike that like button. So yeah, if you stuck around this long, I appreciate it. I hope this helped. I'll see you guys in the next one. Everybody stay safe out there. Peace and love.